Hey everyone, Aaron here from MTG Challengers, and welcome to another Magic the Gathering deck tech. Today I'll be showing you our take on Mono Blue Devotion for Theros Standard. So this is a deck I put together with my buddy Matthew. I personally don't like to play it very much, but it's his favorite deck, and I couldn't really give Theros Standard a fair treatment in terms of deck techs without covering what is quite possibly the best deck in the format right now. So let's get started with our 1-drop. So we have 4 Cloudfin Raptor and 4 Judge's Familiar. Pretty standard there when it comes to most other mono blue decks. They're great since they both have evasion, and it's nice to have 8 1-drops to almost always have that turn 1 play, which is very important in an aggro deck like this. The Familiar is good since it evolves the Raptor, and it can also discourage your opponent from casting any problematic instants and sorceries, which can be quite valuable. The Raptor is probably my ideal turn 1 play since it does have evolve, and it can get very sizable as the game goes on. Next up are the 2-drops we put in the deck. Those are Frostburn Weird and Tidebinder Mage. Both provide a good amount of devotion for things like Thassa and Master of Waves, and both do very well overall. The Weird can be pumped in whatever way to my advantage to create favorable blocks or to simply push through as much damage as possible. And it also synergizes really well with the Raptor since it will evolve it quite a lot due to the 4 toughness. The Tidebinder Mage is also really good since it taps down a red or green creature, so it can get around awkward things like Boros Reckoner and Voice of Resurgence, which would create problematic and unprofitable blocks. It keeps them tapped down as long as you control it, so we can swing in for as much damage as possible. Moving on to the 3-drop creatures, I have, of course, Nightveil Specter, which is the main devotion enabler in the deck. He provides a very nice 3 devotion on his own with evasion to boot. The ability's there to exile a top card of their library and be able to play it, but it's rarely used in any kind of real game-changing way. It's mostly just to take stuff away from my opponent that they would have drawn and played, or if it's a land, I can still play it in case I miss some drops. But other than that, it's just kind of there. And then I have the standard playset of Thassa, God of the Sea. She's just absolutely tremendous. Scrying at my upkeep each turn is very nice since I can decide whether or not that's the card I want to draw that turn. She will frequently be a creature as we're running so many permanents here, most of which provide 2 or more devotion, and a 5/5 with the potential to become unblockable makes her a tremendous win condition, and her costing just 3 mana is the icing on the cake. Finally, we have our other primary win condition in the form of 4 Master of Waves. Just an insane card, provided that I have a decent bit of devotion piled up. They're 1/0s, which is kind of awkward, but that means that they do come in as 2 1s with 1 master out, and when I get multiple 1s out on the field, it's almost always game over, as I'll get more than double the tokens, and they'll also be 3 power. The protection from red is fairly significant, but it's not really relevant all that often, as red is arguably the worst color in Standard Magic at this point. That being said, Master of Waves is the main win condition of the deck, along with Thassa, and he works wonders here. So that's all the creatures we have in the deck. Moving on to the other spells I have. I have 1 Rapid Hybridization main board. Blue doesn't have a lot of removal, so it's necessary to have at least 1 in the main board. However, it's not always relevant as they get a 3/3 out of it, so if the creature you want to destroy is worse than a 3/3, it's pretty much a dead card, so that's why I only have 1 in the main board. 2 Cyclonic Rift serves as some more removal for mono blue. It's not fantastic, as I'm spending a card to essentially just delay them a turn, rather than actually getting rid of something permanently, but like I said, it is mono blue, and there definitely are trade-offs that have to be made. Bident of Thassa makes the cut in the deck as a 2-of, and it works reasonably well here. Besides just counting for devotion, it allows me to draw cards when my creatures deal damage, which is going to be quite often since many have evasion, and I can also use it to control my opponent's attack phase to make sure he's tapped out so I can swing alpha and whatnot. As it's legendary, I really don't want to be drawing multiples, and it's not altogether necessary to win, so that's why I only have 2. I then round out the spells in the deck with 2 Jace, Architect of Thought. Like the Bident, he counts for devotion, and I can use his -2 to dig for a Thassa, a Master of Waves, Nykthos, or any other big card that I need to pull ahead in the game, and he can protect himself as well as me with his +1 if it's necessary. Concerning the mana base, being a monocolored deck, it's very simple. I have 20 basic islands, 4 Mutavault, and 1 Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. Being a monocolored deck, again, I can comfortably run a playset of Mutavault without fear of too many mana problems, and it's a fantastic card in its own right. It just serves as a way to attack for more damage, which is the #1 thing an aggro deck wants to do, and it also synergizes with Master of Waves. Since the creature it turns into has every creature type, including elemental, It will be a 3/3 in that case, and it will go up as I play more Masters. The island should be self-explanatory, and the one Nykthos is kind of just thrown in there. We didn't really feel the need to run any more than that. It's not necessary to win in this particular devotion deck, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have one. I have another in the sideboard just in case I'm facing up against another devotion deck or an aggro deck on the play, wherein I need the Nykthos to effectively race them. So 25 lands in all, a good amount to ensure that I can make my land drops almost every turn. So that's it for the main deck. Let's move on to the sideboard. I already discussed the other Nykthos, so let's just move on. The one Mizzium Skin provides some reasonable protection of my creatures against spot removal heavy decks like Esper and blue-white control. I also have 2 more Rapid Hybridizations. It's great in the side. I can use it against mid-range decks with larger creatures wherein giving them a 3/3 would hurt them much more than me, so it can deal with things like Bident of Thassa. I also have 2 Cyclonic Rift, generally against more aggressive decks wherein I need to play a more defensive game. The 4 Gainsay should be obvious. In the mirror matchup, I need to prevent my opponent's Thassas and Masters of Waves from resolving. They're going to be boarding them in against me, so all I can do in that instance is fight fire with fire. I also have 2 Dissolves in the side, mainly to compete with control decks, who are also going to be playing it. If they're countering and removing all of my threats, I can do the same to them. Another Jace helps out with some more card advantage in the grindier matchups. And finally, I have 2 Aetherling, which can easily be another win condition against longer matchups with mid-range and control. So that's it for this deck tech. Thank you all very much for watching. To see these decks in action, check out our gameplays, and also be sure to check out the other deck techs we have on the channel. Thanks for visiting, and if you like what you see, subscribe for more Magic the Gathering content.